So I have Hope Williams on the
Okay.
phone, and Hope was one of the very first guests on my podcast, Culture and Conversations. And she was on episode 8, Significant Moments Impact Lives Eternally. And Hope, you told your story of what inspired you to become a grief counselor and how your personal experience with loss touched you and transformed your heart towards wanting to work with the population of children who had experienced the loss of a parent.
Right.
And what I wanted you to share with my audience this evening is you have an event coming up. Tell us about that event that you've got coming up and how it fits into Mother's Day and why it's a very important event to you and the work that you're doing.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you again for offering me the opportunity to talk about Smile Project and specifically talk about this event. Um, Last year was the first, so the event that's coming up is on May 11th, and it's the second annual Tea in Celebration of Girls and the Women They Love. So last year was the first event of this type, and the reason that it was important to me, like you said, is because for me, Smile Project came out of a place of a lot of hurt, um, and just life experience that helps me to understand that the work that I committed to do is very necessary work. And so the population that I work with in my private practice is typically, well, I really only work with children and adolescents. And so I entered the field specifically to be able to do grief counseling with children and teenagers. And since starting the practice, I have been able to work with numerous children for very different presenting problems, some for grief and then for other reasons as well. So in reality, it has not only been limited to grief, but that is where my heart is, that is where my passion is. And so fast forward to the tea, I decided to do it on Mother's Day weekend because as a child, as a girl who lost my mother at the age of 6, Mother's Day into adulthood was always a very, very difficult day for me, a very difficult weekend, just hard to deal with because I was going through life without my mother. And then to kind of add salt to an open wound, when my grandmother died, it was right before Mother's Day. And so in 2010, she died on May 5th, 2010. And so that Sunday after following her death was Mother's Day, and I found myself alone at the top of Stone Mountain in tears
Wow.
because I was dealing with not only the lifelong issues with Mother's Day, but then in that immediate moment in time, it was worse
Yeah.
because my grandmother was the woman who was in my life. She was that person. And so to be there another Mother's Day and have that happen, it was unbearable. And so move forward, I had my daughter in 2014, July of 2014. And so Mother's Day of 2015 was a lot different for me, but still hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so then 2016, I started Smile Project. And I always wanted to be able to be included in something that was around Mother's Day, like because it was just it's been such an isolating experience because as a young girl into teenage years, into adulthood, I didn't have a mom. So there wasn't anybody that, aside from my grandmothers, send them cards or whatever, but to do something and be somewhere, I didn't have a mom to do that kind of stuff with.
Sure.
And so took my daughter with a friend, I took my daughter to a tea. It was just, it was a random tea. It wasn't like a Mother's Day tea or anything. But I took her because after Reagan was born, I had a place in those types of events. Like I could go to mother-daughter stuff, which was something, again, that was just totally new for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I took my daughter to this tea, and I had kind of toyed around with the idea of at some point I wanted to do something that was going to make Mother's Day different, not only for me, as far as being more bearable and inclusive, but I also wanted to offer that same experience to other people. And so before Smile Project, I didn't really have that platform. So with Smile Project, that allowed me the platform. And that's why I did the tea last year. And that was my first time doing it. And I purposely reached out to girls who had that experience, like girls who I knew were going to be coming and they couldn't come with their mom. But I wanted them to know that they were still welcome.
Wow.
And so never will you hear me refer to this as a Mother's Day event, because it's not for mothers and daughters. It's an event for women and girls who love each other, who pour into each other's lives, and want a space and a place to celebrate that relationship. And so that's what this tea is about. And last year, it was a time where we focused on celebration of those relationships, and we also focused on empowering one another.
Mm-hmm.
We gave affirmations. Shiara, who was one of your podcast episodes as well, Shiara Richardson, wrote a piece specific for the tea. And what I didn't know when I reached out to her was that she also lost her mother.
Oh, wow.
And so it was just amazing, and I was just so grateful for the opportunity to have her there, and for her to be someone else who likely, felt a similar experience when it comes to Mother's Day, and just not, and being a misfit.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be able to have her there and to hear the words that she spoke, and a good friend of mine sang, and Angela Reed from Georgia Southern was the MC, and it was just a beautiful experience. And when I left last year, I knew leaving that event that was something that I had to do again this year. And so I started planning for this year, and this year the theme is wearing and sharing our pearls. And the wearing and sharing of the pearls is not a reference to the literal pearls that we wear around our necks and in our ears and on our wrists. It's wearing and sharing the pearls of wisdom that we've been able to gather over the course of our lives. And so the wearing piece of it for me ties into the acronym SMILE, which, like you said, is significant moments impact lives eternally. Because I do believe that those moments, there are significant moments in our lives that impact us, and oftentimes that impact is felt for in eternity. And so the wearing of these pearls that I'm speaking of is wearing the experience, acknowledging these moments, acknowledging these experiences that shape our lives, and wearing them, owning them, not letting it define us, but recognizing that it shapes us.
Yes.
And then the sharing of the pearls is sharing that wisdom that we have learned from our experiences, sharing that wisdom with the women and girls around us.
Wow.
And one part of what Shiara spoke of, or what she said, was it was something about knowing that we don't have to blunder through life alone.
Mm.
And that stuck with me because we don't, but oftentimes we do. Because we don't always share. We're not always sharing the knowledge that we have obtained, or the wisdom, or the pearls, just the pearls of wisdom that we have been able to gain. We don't always share those things. And so in a lot of situations, I know for me personally, I have felt alone because I haven't reached out to the people around me to say, hey, I need help, or tell me more about this, or I'm going through this, tell me how you made it through this similar situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why it is so important to me to have this event. It is so important to me to open this dialogue, because a lot of times we are taught to keep things to ourselves. You don't talk about what's going on. And because we don't talk about what's going on, we don't know that somebody else has been through it. And we feel like we're going through it by ourselves, and we're the only ones going through it.
So this is your second annual tea, a celebration of girls and the women they love. And I put that link in the comments so that people could see it, and they have an opportunity to register if they would like to register for that event.
Yes.
One of the things I always like to do when I have people on like this, Hope, is ask what can I do to support. So, do you have people who want to come to the event, but they're maybe worrying about the cost of the ticket or something like that?
Cost has been brought up for a couple people. Um, so yes, there's always going to be people who could benefit from a donated ticket, and it not only helps those families or those girls or those women, but it also helps me to be able to introduce new people
Mm-hmm.
to Smile Project. And, um, what I'm trying to do through this organization, because this tea is something, yes, this is an annual event now, but in December, I also did the Angel Tree and Holiday Party for kids who have lost a parent.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be able to make those connections from event to event. In February, I did the vision board party and had a panel of speakers to speak in their various areas of expertise, so that planning for 2019 could be done much differently than, how we typically plan and set goals, do the vision board, and then by March, April is kind of part of home decor and collecting dust, and the goals aren't being worked on. And so from event to event, I just want to be able to reach more people who might not be familiar, and sometimes when there's a price tag attached, that causes people to shy away,
Sure.
if the money is not readily available. So definitely, if you want to sponsor someone to come, that would be awesome. I'll be sure to get the ticket or tickets in the hands of someone who could benefit. The website, when you go to the website to purchase tickets, there is a ticket option to donate, and those tickets that are donated on the website will go to girls who have experienced the death of a parent. I've been in contact with Kate's Club, which is a phenomenal organization that I've done some contract work with, and they work specifically with children and families who have experienced the death of a parent, where the child has experienced the death of a parent,
Mm-hmm.
or and so I've connected with Kate's Club again for this purpose, to get some tickets to their families. And then there's also another organization it's a scholarship organization called Students Without Mothers, and Mary Williams, works specifically with high school juniors and seniors, to prepare them and offer them college scholarships for their to go toward their tuition or whatever their expenses may be. And so I've done some work with them as well, and have them on board to receive some tickets, and then also have reached out to a couple organizations that work with military families so that I can get some tickets in the hands of the children of fallen soldiers. So definitely want to be able to spread my organization and offer that as an option to some families who may be hurting.
Okay. So what I want to do is I want to donate some tickets, and I'm going to announce it here on the show. So I took a look. Your tickets for donation are $45 each. So I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to donate 4 tickets as the host of the Culture and Conversations podcast, so that whoever those tickets can help and be a blessing to, they can have those tickets. I will donate them this evening and make them available.
Really appreciate it.
And if there's any one who's listening to this episode who would like to be supportive, please go and see the links that I provided. I'll definitely post these in the show notes again. And if you would like to go to this event, and somebody who wants to go to this event and they need tickets, then they're going to be donated by Culture and Conversations, Smallwood Media Productions, all the stuff that I'm doing. So I want to give back and be supportive of that. So Hope, I'm going to donate those. I'm definitely going to donate those 4 tickets. Once I get off the call with you. So and if there's
Okay.
somebody else
I
who
really
comes,
appreciate it, Jameson.
oh, you're more than welcome. If there's somebody else who comes to mind as well, and if there's funds to help with that, then I would love to continue to be supportive in that way. But I love what you're doing with this event.
Okay.
I love that you have a heart for helping people who have experienced this loss in their life. And like you said, it's just a transition. It's a different moment for us who those people who have lost loved ones like that. And it's just, I just am blown away that you're doing this work. So that's why I reached out to you. I want to have you on the show. To be full disclosure, I kind of want you to have you on the show so I can give you those give you the donations for the tickets.
So, well, thank you.
Yeah. So if there's something else,
I appreciate it.
You're more than welcome.